All right, I have a literary analysis. A friend of mine is writing a story. This text here that I'm going to highlight real quick comes from the an opening chapter in his story. He shared this recently with three critical readers, and according to what he told me, they all thought it didn't quite fit. Now, I haven't read the the context around this text, so I am kind of responding blindly, but I will say that I actually like it, and I'm going to explain why, and they can respond back to my friend who wrote it and address whatever I do or however I say, whatever I say fits with what they originally thought. And like I said, I haven't read what comes after. I'm not, and I'm or before this, so my my responses should be taken with a grain of salt because I haven't read the rest. In general, I like the use of the history. I think it's kind of fun. I think there's a lot of opportunity here to tie in the geographical elements and some of the history around the geography and the physical science with the story. So one idea, obviously, history in the past affects the present. So in this story, you have a character who's learning or having some type of experience with the past, and that's obviously having huge implications and effects on him in the present. So I like how you can tie in a volcano thousands of years ago, and then how this relates influences a small town along a river. So I think all these things are connected, and I think that this could even maybe be expanded more to make that parallelism even tighter. The other thing I really like is if you go through and read this, there are so many adjectives for nature. I wrote a bunch of them down here. I'm sure there's at least several more. But so I'm just going to read through some of them. Okay, so nature. So my idea here is nature is multifaceted. It's majestic, beautiful, massive, spiritual, sleeping, hollow, deep, blue, amazing, hot, ice, major, chocolate milk, pure, mighty, dangerous, invisible. And so the author is describing Crater Lake and the Rogue River. And I think these descriptions can pave the way for events to come in the book. And I would even recommend once he's finished with the chapters that come to maybe even go back and maybe add in or make sure that the adjectives in this section are describing both Crater Lake, Rogue River, and whatever events that happen after this excerpt. So I think make that even more clear and more intentional how this describing actually describes the things to come as well. Like one idea that I really like is the engineers are controlling the release of water, and then on the river, people are maybe not controlling or losing control. So I like this idea that people both can and can't control nature. People both can and can't control the water, can and can't control these different aspects. I think that definitely ties into the character in the story and what he maybe can or can't control as well. Just another kind of opposite. Um, Nature, the river are both amazing and dangerous. You can have fun or you can get hurt. Even just another one that's a little more subtle, but yeah, he describes both hot and cold. So summer is hot and the water is ice cold. So I like this idea that where you have these nature being all these things, and I think you can definitely tie that. into the story as well. I think the spiritual aspect is very appropriate. Another area where I think you could possibly expand. You have the natives used to go to Crater Lake for these worships. It was considered a spiritual site. This is why I think your character needs to go back to Crater Lake as well, or needs to go to Crater Lake as well for some spiritual aspect. This could be it could be in the context of your story, it could be more of a memory or a distant visit or something along those lines. But I do think there's going to be something adding this to the story as a reader is signaling me that there's going to be a vision quest. There's going to be some type of worship. There's going to be some type of maybe travel to a spiritual site. So it doesn't necessarily have to be Crater Lake, but this to me feels like a signal. So I would be expecting this as a reader. And then the Rogue River. I think this really ties into your story. You have a small town like Shady Cove, which is completely dependent on the Rogue River. It, as I already kind of mentioned, the Rogue River can make or break your summer. It can make or break your whole life. And Chance is on his own. The character Chance in the story, the character is on his own Rogue River, metaphorically. He's metaphorically in the story on the Rogue River. Some aspects are a great day, a great time, and then other aspects could be pinning him down underwater. As I So he could be stuck, he might be stuck under rapids, or he might be jumping off of rocks and swimming and hanging out with friends. And that kind of wraps up the main ideas and the main reasons why I really do think this section has a lot of potential. And it's very possible that the author needs to connect the potential a little bit more. But I would be curious if the three critical readers disagreed with any of these ideas that I've presented. All right, that is all for now.